All right, it's Thursday night, time for a member spotlight, and this is going to be a really special member spotlight, I believe, because we've got a great story here. We've got Chris Oram joining us, and I am really impressed with what he's done this year now, since we've known him. And so it's going to be a lot of fun hearing his story and where he wants to go with triathlon. So but before we get going too far, I want to turn the mic and video camera over to Bob for the official introduction. Oh, now Bob, you're muted. That was your
That's,
big introduction.
yeah, let me take this over again. Thank you, John. I appreciate that. And Chris, welcome. Thanks for so much for doing this. And I'm excited to have you on as well. Getting to know you a little bit. And for everybody who's listening, Chris has an interesting story. And the interesting story is the fact that he has come a long way, as John just said, in a very short period of time. And the journey, it's not always where you are and how far you are at that point. It's how far you've come. And Chris has come a long way. He didn't know how to ride a bike on January 1st. So, so he got his bike in January 1st. He joined the club in 2022. He did 2 of our races, of the club races. And actually, he's a very fast runner. So he's going to be moving up pretty quick.
Yeah.
Chris mentioned one thing for everybody listening, the fact that he turned to triathlon recently as an outlet. So I'm going to ask Chris to explain now. What do you mean? What do you mean by you turned to triathlon? And give us a little background on that, would you please? And again,
sure.
Welcome. Thanks for doing this.
Thanks, John. Thanks, Bob. Really appreciate the introduction. Really happy to be here with you guys. So yes, you are correct. I turned to triathlon as a bit of an outlet. One of my friends, my close friends, Blake Celine, he had done an Ironman, and I always looked up to him as like, that's so hard. Like that's just about the hardest thing you can do. And, I always looked up to him. In the back of my mind, I was like, hey, I wanted to do triathlon. Hey, maybe one day I'll do an Ironman. And I was the exact opposite of what an Ironman was. So I was living in Reno, Nevada at the time. I was in grad school. And every night after my evening classes, I would head over to the Atlantis Casino. So I kind of come from like an addictive personality, things like repetition is key for me in both the good and the bad. So no joke, I went to the Atlantis every day for 21 days. I was drinking, I was gambling, I was smoking, and I was just tired of it. I was like, this is not my life. So I did a complete 180. I said, I'm done with this. I looked at what is the hardest thing I could do, and I decided to pursue triathlon. And for everyone watching, I was never meant to do this, right? So in middle school cross country, I got last in every single race. Like they mentioned, I didn't know how to ride a bike. So I work in the lifeguard pool operations in Las Vegas. I failed my first swim test. So really, I was never meant to do this. Like when I tried running my first mile, I was out of breath. It did not turn out well, but I stuck with it, and I really have come a long way, and I'm so proud of that. And finishing, well, first, I failed my first triathlon with the club on the bike after mile 3. And then I came back 60 days or so later, and I finished my first triathlon. I overcame a lot of adversity. And I think that I can serve as an example for many others that think like, oh, I could never do triathlon. And that's part of my story and how I got into this.
And that is awesome. And you just gave me goosebumps a little bit when you were talking about it, because one thing that you said is that you knew that you really like kind of didn't belong here, and that's going to change. And it's already started. So it's great that I'm just excited to see how far you go, because you really do. I mean, you're a fast runner, you're smart, you're learning. So, and again, that's just awesome. Big kudos to you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll jump in because I love this story, just this overview, and like Bob said, it gives you goosebumps a little bit just hearing about it and the challenges. And I'll add in that first race, it was a challenge for you, and you and I talked quite a bit. And I tell you, when I saw you coming in and you weren't going to finish that first race, I never saw defeat in your eyes. In fact, I could just tell that you were just ready to take on this challenge even deeper. And when you came to the race the second time, I was so happy that you were there. And boy, I tell you, I was really happy that you were successful in that event. And I like this perspective because I saw, this sort of how do I view it too, is people may finish in front of me, but they've never beaten me. And even
That's
though,
good.
that first race was a challenge for you, I never saw defeat in your eyes. So talk a little bit about that perspective and that mental strength that you have in that area.
Sure. So I looked at as my first failure in the triathlon as, I finished the swim. That was a victory. I was on a bike doing hills and getting out there and learning about, my first triathlon. That was just a step in the right direction. And I had two choices after I failed the first race. So I could have gone home. I could have gone back to my old habits. I could have started drinking because I was so upset with my progress and how I didn't finish and considered it this big failure. And I could be a loser and I could just quit. Or I could double down, keep working, keep practicing and keep trying and come back at it again. And I chose the second one. And I think that's kind of the winning mindset. I mentioned to you guys, like, I don't believe that you can be a loser and do triathlon because everyone overcomes adversity, no matter what area of triathlon it is, whether it's the swim, the bike, or the run.
And one thing I gotta mention also is the fact that you realize that you didn't fail, you learned. I mean, it wasn't a failure, it was a lesson. And that's the way you see this. And I was real impressed in the fact that, yeah, it wasn't really, and you might want to stop using that language because it wasn't a failure. You just learned. Everyone has had those, and you learn from them, and that's what sets you apart. And while we're talking about that, explain that the good poster that's behind you, if you would, please.
Sure. So this is my good poster. This is my prized possession. It's signed by Jocko Willink and Leif Babin, who are the co-authors of Extreme Ownership, which is a book about leadership and taking full responsibility for everything in your life, not blaming outside circumstances, none of that. But it's a speech in small letters written around the good letters. And it's a speech by Jocko Willink. So former Navy SEAL, he says, got injured, sprained my ankle, tapped out, good. Got beat, good. You learned. Unexpected problems, good. We have the opportunity to figure out a solution. That's it. When things are going bad, don't get all bummed out. Don't get startled. Don't get frustrated. If you can say the word good, guess what? It means you're still alive. It means you're still breathing. And if you're still breathing, well, then hell, you got some fight left in you. So get up, dust off, reload, recalibrate, re-engage, and then go out on the attack.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Again, it's that's saying that whatever is your adversity is, you're turning it into a learning experience, something to make you grow. So I think that's an incredible attitude.
It's got me through a lot of bad times. So I really believe in that.
And also, you do realize that first triathlon you did, that was some rough conditions. It was windy.
Yeah.
There were waves that were slapping you in the face, and you came out and you turned around into a headwind. It's like, yeah, that was not the easiest first triathlon you did. So big ups for towing the line on that.
Oh,
Appreciate it. It was not easy. I mean, it's never easy, but I like challenges, and that's why I'm here doing triathlon now.
I love it. So let's talk a little bit about that because, okay, so the first one was a challenge, and then you left there, and I really like how you talked about the mindset that you had afterward. What did you do between that at the end of that race and towing the start line of the next one?
All right. So this one
Good
may
question.
not appeal to everyone, but I see my triathlon journey as a long-term thing. So I'm looking at it from the big macro perspective, the long view, the 5, 10, 15 years view. So I went out and purchased a Wahoo kicker. So for those that don't know, that's an indoor kind of training. You know,
Smart trainer.
it's a smart trainer.
Yeah.
So I was able to practice a few times a week indoors under safe conditions, under practicing, you know, my power and my cadence, things that I didn't even know about,
All right.
to improve kind of my cycling where I was the weakest.
Very smart move.
Yeah, I love that. And unfortunately, we don't have our course on any of the platforms because as you know, that course down at Lake Mead is a tough course.
Brutal.
Just so you know, it is on the on Ruvi that you can access on your Kicker, but it's not a videoed course. It is simply a map. So that's why it doesn't really show up. But you can, and when you're going up that 8% hill, you are going up an 8% hill. So it's like, you know, no, it's pretty realistic if you want to do it, if you want to find it.
I'll check it out. I haven't done it yet, but it's definitely something else.
It's there.
And what did you do in preparation for the swim for the second time? I know that you really felt accomplished with that swim the first time, but did you do anything more getting ready for the second race and the second swim?
Yeah. So when I went to the first triathlon, my mom was very concerned about me. I think the swim was the most concerning to her. She was like, "Oh God, like Chris is getting into something that might be bigger than what he can do." So I appreciate her worry and concern, but I feel competent enough to swim. But I go to the EOS fitness gym, so I made time to go out in the lanes, and I realized very quickly that after work time, that 5 o'clock, I'm not going to get a lane. So I had to start getting up earlier. I had to start swimming and practicing and pushing through those times where I felt out of breath, like, oh, I can't keep going, and just figure it out, because I'm going to be in the open water and I'm going to need to figure it out. So, but better to push hard in practice so that it'll show up on race day.
That's great. I love it. And that's a great approach. It's just you gotta have the pool swim fitness before you can, you know, even tackle the open water fitness. All right, so now let's talk about race day for the second race. What was it like coming down and getting set up? Were there nerves? Was it something that you felt really good about? I mean, what was going on getting there at the event?
I felt more confident than I did the first time. I knew I had put in some work. But what's really scary, and I mean, I often think back to that second triathlon. Like, I'm very proud of that day. It's honestly probably one of my favorite days of the year. But when I was going up that about half mile from transition one uphill, you know, I was getting gas, and I was like, oh no, here we go again. I'm gonna mess it up. I had to stop at the very top of the hill to take a breather. So from the first triathlon to the second triathlon, I learned more about nutrition. So I bought some goos. I felt more prepared. I knew better how to transition since I had done it before. And I kept pushing, you know, after I took that break, I was good. Then I got to some of the harder hills. From about mile 5 to mile 6, the halfway point, it's just straight uphill. And I wasn't doing well. I had to stop a couple times. Shout out to my guy.
You weren't alone. Don't worry.
Yeah.
I mean, that's where that gets everybody.
So shout out to my guy, Scott Druckner. He picked me up in the truck the first round. He was following me the whole way on the second time, making sure I was good. I stopped at the very top of the hill. Like, I wasn't good. I had thrown up, I had lost some fluid, but I took it easy. I got some banana, got some, you know, red sports drink, and I made the mental decision that I'm going to keep attempting, because I'm a fighter and I understand my body's limits, and I won't push it beyond what I think I'm capable of, but I knew I was capable of some more. So I kept going. And you know, I think a lot about flow state. So during that race, I wasn't thinking about anything else but this course, right? I wasn't thinking about any work problems. I wasn't thinking about anything going on with family. I was just thinking, like, how am I going to finish this race? And that's what I just focused on, pushed through. And, you know, going down that last half mile to transition, it was just simply the best feeling. Like I knew I had overcome. I knew I
Yeah.
had, you know, come back to finish something, what I started. And I just, what I had previously not done and, you know, suffered temporary defeat from, I came back and overcome. And that was huge to me. Like that makes me so proud of, you know, my journey. So club motto, enjoy the journey. Like I believe in that 100%.
Oh, that
Oh,
is
that's
awesome.
awesome.
And I'll tell you what, that day was a hard day because you had a tailwind going out and then a headwind coming back. So that just made it that much more challenging for you. I really love this that, you know, everyone has doubts creep into their mindset during a race. But I really like how you had a plan when that happened and you just laid out the plan and you just did it, and that is so, you know, that's really a strength to have going into these events, so that's fantastic.
You know, there's another big strength that you have. There was a previous, a member that we had on was talking about micro quits and quitting, you know, small little pieces. If you do that, then it would, you know, kind of set the precedent that allowed you to do more. And you nipped the micro quits in the bud. You just said, nope, I'm going to keep going. And you know, that it's one thing if you're injured, don't, that's okay. You know, there is a time when you don't want to go any further because you're going to hurt yourself. But what you did is you had the fortitude to keep going when you just when you were hurting, but you kept going. So that was the big ups to you there too.
So my girlfriend, if she's watching this, she's gonna laugh at me. But sometimes I'm in the gym and I'm literally talking out loud to myself. I say things like, you know, like they never seen you done it like this before. Like they've never seen you. Like you're going to win. Like win, win, win. Like, and I believe in the self-talk,
Huh,
especially.
very good.
I love it. All right, so now let's rewind a little bit because I know that was a big victory to get done with the bike, and at that point I knew you had to run. But let's even back up to what was it like when you towed the start line? What was going through your mind before the swim started?
Well, I mean, everyone I encounter in the club is just the nicest person that can be. Like everyone is so supportive and positive and truly cares about one another. And I don't think you find that in the community as a whole. You really find it within the club, especially. And you know, it's good to see familiar faces and talk with people that, you know, you may have encountered from the first time. So like David Enriquez, like he parked next to me in the first one, and you know, it was, you know, I let him down, not necessarily that he was rooting for me, but I was coming back the second time to show people what I was made out of. Um, and you know, I'm a little nervous, but I knew I had to swim. I knew the bike was going to be a big challenge. And I just kind of approached it with, you know, I'm gonna get farther than last time, whatever that means. But you know, at the bottom of my heart, I want to finish.
Oh yeah.
I love that mindset. I'm going to get further than the last time. I think that that's really a great model, and you know, just love this story. Okay, so now you get out of the swim, you get to the bike. We've heard about the bike, and then what a challenge! And it was great. You know, Scott actually messaged back, and I remember him telling me where you were, and you were still going. I'm like, oh, this is great. Okay, this is awesome. All right, so now you come in, you rack the bike and you head out onto the run. What was the run like? I mean, you must have been feeling really good at that point.
Feeling really good. My legs started cramping. So thing to
Another
learn
lesson.
thing to learn for the next time is more sodium.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I just knew, I mean, it's hot. It was real hot. I just knew that whatever pain I was feeling then, it was going to be over soon. So just don't focus on the pain and just go finish whatever needs to be done.
Just do what you got to do, right?
Yeah.
Hey, you rode the bike really hard. How did your legs work when you come off the bike in transition and you started to run? This is a question I always ask. How'd your legs feel?
It wasn't terrible. It was more the downhill that I started to really feel kind of the cramps in my legs.
Oh.
I could see that. Yeah.
And then crossing that finish line must have been nice.
Oh man.
Yeah, how'd that feel?
It was really good. It was great to finish and to know that I had people that were looking out for me and were proud of me, and I was proud of myself, and I came a long way since, the start of the year.
Yeah.
Well, that's an understatement. The fact that when did you buy that bike? It was like you got it in January, didn't it? It was
January, yeah.
That's insane. That's crazy, Chris.
I got, I ride a Trek Damani carbon fiber, really nice bike. And I went out to buy it because I knew I was getting into triathlon, and I couldn't even take it for like a test drive.
Mm.
I didn't know how to get on a bike. I didn't know anything about it.
But you figured it out.
I figured it out, and I still toppled over.
Yeah. Like I said, I don't know of anyone who hasn't done that. So it's like, you're not alone. Don't worry. So what's after you finished that second one, what did you set your sights on? What's going through your head now?
I mean, I want to do a 70.3. That's like one of my big goals. So Bob, I know you've done Oceanside, which is something that I had signed up for, the 2022 Oceanside, and the closer it got, the more I knew I wasn't ready for it. I had signed up for this Ironman 70.3, paid $400, like non-refundable. And I felt a lot of shame when I wasted this money, whatever. Like I didn't know what I thought of myself.
Well, give yourself a little bit of leeway there, as you didn't know what you were getting into when you
I didn't
bought that.
Mm-hmm.
And you did the smart thing by not. So don't be down on yourself for changing your mind with new information.
For sure.
So, and also John did that, and half the club did that, and they're probably going to do it again. So you can probably talk to anybody in the club, and they'll tell you all about that course. But it's a fun one to do. That's
my big goal.
Oh, I love it.
All right. Well, I'm going to sign up for that one next year, just so I can do it with you.
Hey, I'll keep practicing.
Oh, I love it. That's a great goal, and just continuing your journey. So I'm curious, as you've gotten to this point in your journey, what has been the best advice that you've gotten along the way?
Just like put in the work. It doesn't have to be, race day every day. You don't have to go 15 miles every day, but you just need to consistently put in work, put in the effort, get better every day, and just really stay on top of your training.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you mentioned John's key buzzword is consistency, and you don't get, you can't get fast by racing all the time. Mm-hmm. You have to put in the slow, steady stuff, and that's something you're figuring out. And John beat that through. It took him about 2.5 years to get that through my thick skull, but yeah, I'll do a little bit, so that I can do something the next day, and that's more important.
Yeah.
And enjoy the training too. Like
there you go.
I find, truthfully, like I subscribe to this thing called the Hertz energy and frequency chart. Mm-hmm. Are you guys familiar with that?
No.
It basically says, like, at the very top of the chart, when you feel the best, you're in sort of a gratitude, love, enlightenment. And when you're at the bottom, you have anger, shame, and desire. I believe that when you work out or you exercise of any type, you go up this frequency chart. And you guys have been in negative frequency. You're like, mm-hmm. I'm mad. I hate everything about the world. Nothing's good. And I use the frequency chart and, the sports of triathlon to move up that. So if I'm having a bad day at work and I hop on the bike, even if it's for 30 minutes, I come out a brand new person.
Wow.
Oh.
That is so, just so brilliant, you know, to do. That's amazing. It's wonderful.
It's just tips and tricks along the way. I think that might be the answer to your question is
Yeah.
using it to improve my mood.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Yeah,
a
no,
new
I love that.
perspective.
Yeah, I always like to talk with people that, exercise should be invigorating. You should feel better when you're done.
Instead of blown
That's
out totally.
the goal. This is really inspiring to hear your approach to this. So I'm curious, when you meet that new triathlete or that person who's going to do their first event, what are you going to tell them in terms of getting ready for that event?
I mean, definitely talk to someone that's done triathlon before. If you try and take it on yourself, you're gonna learn your mistakes along the way. It's better to learn from other people's mistakes, but
Right.
really
Yeah,
just
you stole that line from me. That's one of mine.
yeah. Hey, I mean that's the truth. So really just know your nutrition, understand kind of what you're going into in terms of all the sports, make sure you're comfortable enough with the lengths individually. And I mean, enjoy the process, get your nutrition right. Salt and electrolytes are a big one. And really, even if you're not 100% comfortable, try it out, because like my first triathlon, you learn from doing, and that's the only way. You can't learn how to do triathlon from a book.
Mhm.
And I think that's what I'll leave you guys with.
That's right. You don't get experience from a book.
Correct.
Well, and I love it. I see you taking on these big challenges and then working through them, and going for 70.3. That just is really just the next logical challenge for you. I love it. So where do you find yourself mostly training in the city here?
So I'll swim indoors at the EOS fitness pool. I'll usually bike when I'm training on my Wahoo kicker. If I get outside, I'll go on the 215 loop.
Yeah.
It's the 215 loop. The flat is nothing compared to the Boulder Beach Trail. And then I'll usually just run on a treadmill. I'm not big on running outdoors, but when I do, I don't mind it. I'll put on my Garmin just so I know approximately how far I've been going.
Yeah.
Yeah, but right now it's just hot.
Way too hot.
Even in the morning, it's way too hot. So yeah, we don't have much choice.
Well, and I always think indoors, outdoors, really the most important part is the person enjoys it. And, if you enjoy indoor, that's great. Take full advantage of that, and people enjoy doing outdoor, whichever way it is. So, I mean, and you've said this several times, it's really the key is just enjoying the journey.
Yeah.
Hey, that's a great club motto. I don't know who thought of it, but
Oh, that's John's.
all right, well, thank you, John, for that. I appreciate it. And I mean, it's really like everyone, if they don't already think that, to enjoy the journey, like they should, because
Yeah.
that's how you'll enjoy it day by day. And you can look at the entire process and see how far you've come.
And it's not going to be a second job. It's going to be something that you look forward to doing.
Correct.
And this is why I wanted to get you on this spotlight, is to tell your journey, because I've seen that enjoyment in you even on the first race, which wasn't successful, but yet I still saw the spark in your eye. And like I said, I was so glad to see you come to the second one and finish that one. I mean, I saw how happy you were, and that's really it's special. It's fun to see that. I think we get inspired, even though we've been around the sport for some time. We really get inspired by seeing efforts like what you put forward.
And it's because of you guys, someone I can look up to and admire and see, what I can accomplish in my lifetime in triathlon. And, I talk to you guys, you're like, oh, done all these races. It's like, that's what I'm going to look forward to. And, really anyone can do triathlon. You just have to put in some time, some consistency, some dedication. Like I was average, and I'm just continuing to improve my process and enjoy the journey.
Awesome. Well, we will plan out Oceanside 2023, and
There you go.
I'm signed up for that, so that's great. If you're in that, that'll be a lot of fun, and we'll put our sights on that. Chris, this has been so great talking with you. Thank you so much for sharing your story
Yeah.
and really how you're approaching the sport. Really enjoy it.
No, I mean, I love the club, guys. Like, I'm very much happy that this type of thing exists. The club is the most positive group of people, and I'm really happy to be a part of the club.
Well, you're a big
Good.
part of
Well,
that
we're-
community now, so thank
We're
you.
really glad to have you too.
Thanks, Bob. Thanks, John.
All right, have a good evening.
Thank you.
Later, everybody.
See you guys.